Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dan below, but this is the Codex Station, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Comic Character of the Week, where we take that one character, do that deep dive on that character for you. Tonight's character, as Uncle Gary is showing right there, is gonna be Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers. I'm your host tonight. Look at that. I'm your host tonight, Sound the Slab Guy. Down below is Dan DeKelly Art. Right next to him is the Ric Flair of comics himself. Woo! And of course, right there next to me is the Commander-in-Chief of Codex Station, J-Dub. How you guys doing?
Glad to be here, buddy.
Turd.
Yes.
Turd. You getting snowed on in the upper Midwest there?
We did the other, randomly. We had no snow in the forecast at all, and we had 3 inches of snow when I woke up, and then torrential downpour of rain. So yeah, it's like my emotional status right now, just everywhere.
Yeah,
it's funny. We just finally realized, there's no more snow or ice coming this year. So in front of the building I'm in, we just had stacks of all these bags of the ice melt, the salt. It'd be like 4 bags, and then a little bit over 4 bags, and a little bit over 4 bags. So I had to go through and pile them all up on a cart and put them into storage. And of course, when I've got almost all of them on the cart, it's like 20 bags. One of the wheels on the cart breaks, so I have to go get another cart, bring it out that's smaller, load up half of them, go put them away, come back out, load up the other half, go put them away, move the broken cart.
There's a frost and freeze warning for next week. Just so you know.
I told my boss, I said, I was like, as soon as I put all this away, we're going to get an ice storm.
Listen, I worked snow removal for 30 years. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
And after we would do all this, we would have to stock, we're a landscape department. We'd have to stock all the stations with all the salt and all that stuff. So then the snowstorm hits, we're working the snowstorm. And then when everybody else goes back to their jobs, we're having to restock everything.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah. And Liz should have gotten your Catwoman that you gave her there, Dan. I did.
Oh yeah. She messaged me. She messaged me and said she likes. So I'm glad she liked it.
Yeah, I forgot to talk to you about that. I had a brief conversation with her yesterday, and she's mad at me and thanking me at the same time because of Preacher. So she is devouring Preacher and loves it. And then is going, but I gotta buy. But now I got 6 books to buy, so she's buying 1 book a week.
I got the first 2 on the way now. So
yeah.
Oh, Gary, I could tell you this: when I did the interview with Jimmy and Amanda Tuesday, which was great. I mean, I did an interview with Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor. It's going to be up on Codex. What do you say?
I say by this
few days, right? Yeah,
this weekend it'll be up. Mm-hmm. I just needed some time because I've got 30 other things on my plate, and I'm trying to get everywhere I can to get.
Is that all? Only 30? Jeez.
But they're just they're super nice. They have a new Kickstarter that's going now, and with Painkiller Jane and was it GI Zombie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I found out doing the interview. Jimmy said, he had co-created GI Zombie for DC years ago.
Yeah.
What I didn't know with DC was the deal with them is if you create a character for them and then they go a few years without using them, you can buy the character back. You can get the rights to the character from them. And if they decide, we haven't used them, but we want to keep this character, they'll make you an offer to buy the character from you. But it's just an offer. You could say, no, I want to get them. But I was like, I didn't know that. So, that's
interesting.
Pretty cool thing with them.
A weird character is the Black Lightning ownership, where for back when Black Lightning was created, nobody was getting ownership stakes in the characters they made, but somehow Tony Isabella did. Mm-hmm. But it's not a full stake, so I don't understand how that's going and because that's just an interesting dynamic. Because in Super Friends, they couldn't use Black Lightning because I think Isabella would get money off it, so they made Black
Vulcan. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he would vulcanize tires for the Super Friends.
Well, the Man was his enemy.
Yeah, but now I want to message Grant Morrison and be like, they haven't used Aztec in years. Why don't you buy him back and give us another Aztec story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got that book last year. I saw Damien today. I got 4 books that are really cool. So
Of course you did.
He's
I would
showed
be
me
getting a
some
lot of
pretty
books.
ones too.
Well,
You can
also-
thank Mighty Mike Harbor for sending me an email today for a book that now I have to purchase because Precious saw it.
which
Nah.
book is that?
The Alex Ross Moon Knight 9.8 CGC.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he sent that.
that's
He's
a
like,
nice
I
book.
think she would like it. And I showed her and she goes, yeah, so we're going to move some funds around.
yeah.
And, I know we're going to C2E2 next week, but
Yeah.
we're going to do that. And I was like,
Oh, is that the new one coming out?
Yes.
What's the
For the-
cover? The timeless cover?
yeah. And the funniest part is that the price is well worth it.
Mm.
So much.
Yeah, today it was fun because I got to shop mostly with funds of a stack of upgraded or downgrades that I had given him. So I'd upgraded books and I gave him the downgrades, and so I had some shopping money to get stuff with because I gave him a stack of downgraded books. So that was good.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, I wanted to say Jimmy did say that DC's releasing an omnibus of his All-Star Western.
Yes,
And
I saw that.
And he said, he's like, if anybody brings that to me at a convention to sign, I will draw a full page art on it, because if anybody is going to lug that thing around a convention, I'm going to draw that on there for him. And I said, I guarantee you that Gary will.
Yeah.
Let's see if he remembers me.
He's like, yeah, he just laughed. I was like, I guarantee you Gary will show up at your booth with that.
Yeah, well, I've
That's
got
funny.
that Jonah Hex that he did for me in that one thing. You're absolutely right. And I have all of those in trades, and I was considering buying that anyway. But now that I know this, I'm damn sure going to buy it.
Yep. And,
Worth the price.
Yeah.
and if you get up to, you should have it like queued up on your phone and get up to his booth next time you're there and put it down for him and be like, so Jimmy, do you remember saying this? And then just hit play right at that spot where he says that.
Yeah,
I'll cut this so that way
Yeah.
you can have it.
I'll have to do that.
That would be
Yeah.
a fun short.
I tell you what, DC gutted the reprint department a few years ago. I am really surprised that the things are reprinting now. I am so thrilled that the Warlord thing is finally
Yeah.
about to be solicited.
I want to pick that up.
Good. Volume 1 of Warlord, I think first issue special 8 all the way through issue 30 of Warlord, and it's volume 1, so it
When's
sounds
it
like
come out?
they'll do number 2. And then it's later. It was advanced solicited that they're taking pre-orders for it. And then the Spectre omnibus by Mandrake and Orstrander. It looks like they're going to do volume 1 of that, and that's going to be
Nice.
like issue 0 through 1 through 30 or something, because it went 62 issues. That will be magnificent to finally get that. And then what was solicited this month is an artist edition Jim Aparo book.
Oh, yeah.
That I need to find that. I don't know. I need to know.
So those are those great big books.
Yes.
Right? It's an artist edition Aparo, and they're killing me because one cover is that great treasury you picked up, Sal,
Yeah.
with Batman looking out, and the villains are like bat signals in the sky.
Yep.
That's one cover, and the other cover you can order is a Spectre cover, but they're making it a little easier for me because it's not my favorite of the Spectre covers, but it's still like, because I love that Aparo Batman,
Yeah.
And they did that to me with the Neil Adams one that's coming out that I'll be getting in another month or so, where it was Green Lantern, Green Arrow 76. Yeah, Liz, Arrow's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Or it
Well, I
was,
was asking about the Warlord one when it comes out, because Grell's on schedule to be at Baltimore Comic-Con this year.
yeah, he is.
Before then.
And the price seems odd though. It's only $75. It seems like it ought to be. It seems like it would be one of the bigger books, like 120 or something. But
Right.
we'll see. So people speculate that price may be wrong. But
All right.
and they're using the cover of number 11, which was on our world, or I mean, at least that's what they're showing. If that's the final art, that's that great cover with the red background. Where he's in the front home that we used on our, or I think several of us had it for our top Warlord covers.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, so let's get some business out of the way before we or what do you have?
I just had a quick story I wanted to throw out there because this is
Do
something
it.
that.
Do it.
So, like I said earlier, I have like 30 other things on my plate that I'm working on. One of them is these reviews that we've been doing. If everyone's been watching them, the shorts of them, and the
Yeah,
one
they've been
thing.
getting good traction.
Yes, they have. You know what the craziest thing was? So I posted the
Ram God.
Precious. No, that one was fun. But Precious did one for Batman Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna post this all at the same time, same schedule, everything. I just want to see what the numbers look like on everything that I posted on. So like Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, right? And obviously YouTube. So yeah, so it did all right on Instagram, not so great on YouTube, but blew up on TikTok. Like, I mean, to the point where we were just gaining followers left and right.
Wow.
And then I post another one today, and YouTube picks it up, and I've got like no views on anything else. I'm like, what the is going on?
Thursdays are YouTube day. Don't you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's killing it with them. If you guys haven't checked out what she's doing, it's hilarious, and she's having so much fun doing them. So
are you going to have her do them all, or are you still going to do some?
We're doing this thing where we do a block of like 5 to 10 each, and then I'll edit them, get them down, cut them, and then release them. But we've got probably like, I think we're like 30 in the bag right now, 30 or 40. We've done, because I want to get to the point where we do them on new release days, where it's the single issues.
I want to do one for the now that they've revealed who the new Venom is going to be. Just hold the book up, be like, so I got Marvel's new issue where they revealed who the new Venom is, and then just cut to the Michael Scott from The Office. No, God, no.
Is it Sal?
No, it's not.
I would have been more happy if it was Sal.
It's Mary Jane. And what's funny is I guess she's still dating that Paul guy in the comics. So the best comment I saw was someone said, you know, I really thought that it was going to be Paul inside of Venom, and I guess it still is, but in a different way.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe Mary Jane will praying mantis him and eat him as Venom, and then her and Peter can get back together.
Yeah.
See, somebody commented, they're like, they just need to kill her off and get rid of Aunt May. I said, no, they need to kill Aunt May, and then that leads to Peter and Mary Jane remembering the deal they made with Mephisto and getting back together.
I think everyone just wants to see Venom and Spider-Man make out, so that's why they made this happen.
Probably.
There'll be a lot of tongue.
A lot of tongue.
A lot of tongue action.
Have you seen the cover for it, though? The cover's like a big, buffed-up guy Venom, and then Mary Jane's head.
Yeah, and I think
that's
caption...
one of the covers. That's one of the covers.
And I seen one of the captions where it was like, you know it, Tiger, and it's like, you hit the jackpot, which was her superhero name.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like a 1 in 100 cover or a 1 per store thing. And somebody was saying like, oh, I saw people paying $80 for it. I got mine. It was only $60. And I'm like, you're throwing your money away in a year when they make someone else Venom. That's not going to be worth it.
All right. Let's get some business. I just want to throw in my 2 cents.
All right, very good. Let's get some business out of the way. I'll start with me. Of course, when I'm not here on Codex Station, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner or Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Dan, down below me there, why don't you tell people they can find you and what do you have?
You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. As it states, I post art on there. And I, Sal will have to be making who Sal wishes was going to be the new Venom, which is Jar Jar Binks. The Jar Jar Binks.
You were not making that sketch cover.
What was it John said that I should have him saying? I was gonna have him say, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll have him say like Mises is Venom, and John was at our comic shop was like, no, you should have him say Misa gonna eat your brain.
Misa gonna eat your brains. Yeah, do not do that, please.
Yeah. That's what Sal's going to get from me for
Christmas.
What he's going to get from me for his birthday.
Thanks.
You can't wait.
All right. Well, why don't you introduce that guy next to you? Yeah.
This guy that's jacked and stacked, but not quite stacked the way that action figure beside him is.
No, she is stacked. Anybody want to see look at that? Woo! Look at that.
Woo! Ah.
Side view. Okay, there we go.
It's amazing she can stand up as top heavy as she is.
I know I'm having troubles here. She's having trouble.
Like the Kool-Aid man of superheroes.
You know what's funny? Before they had to cancel that Kickstarter with the action figures going on now, I posted about it on the Character of the Day page, And Sonny had commented something on there. I was like, yeah, Sonny, you could back it and get some more victims. I mean, figures for your collection.
Yep.
Test subjects.
Absolutely.
I mean, figures for your collections. But yeah, Gary, why don't you say tell everyone where they can find you at?
Comic Logic, baby. You can see me at Comic Logic. We're Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. You come in and see us. Come in on Wednesdays, you get a special treat. You'll see me. You'll see Mighty Mike Harbour. You'll see Rob Kalin. And you'll see us getting our weekly fix, getting those comic books in that 4-color ink. Goes right in these veins, builds muscle. Those veins build muscles. Carrying those comic books build muscle. Starts with a single book. Then you got short boxes, then long boxes. Next thing you know, you got them stacked to the ceiling, and you're just lifting them and moving them and moving them and lifting them, and you get jacked and you get packed. Reading comics make you strong, baby. Do some push-ups too. That helps. So also, Comic Character of the Day. It's a great site founded by Archduke Kevy. Dan Kelly's running it. We were having the JLA month going on. The only deviation will be on Thursdays, where we highlight whoever the character of the day is. But it's so you will have a great month of JLA covers. I got to go old school and put my oldest Wonder Woman book, is Sensation 26, up yesterday, all the way back in 1944. Put that up.
Awesome book.
Yep. So
start with the first 5. I figure I'd say Superman and Batman until later.
Absolutely. So it's cool, very cool site. And Dan usually posts great random panels, salacious or sometimes really villainous ones, like somebody destroying pies, which just cannot happen. We need
pies.
Well, there's a Dr. Doom one today.
Yeah. So we can't have that. So anyway, tune in. We've got a great question of the day, great panel of the day, great covers of the day. Talking Geek also puts up covers. So sometimes you get both of us putting covers, and you get two for the price of one, baby. So check out that site. And then let's kick it back up to the man himself, who's spending all this time crafting material to put on all these different platforms so that somehow we'll get more likes, more viewers, and expand this wonderful vision that he had into what's now. We have a nice building, but he's going to turn it into a whole big giant megapolis of this station. Codex Station. It'll be Codex City. That's what we're wanting, because he is the master builder himself, J-Dub.
Thank you for that. That's exactly what I had in my mind. You put it into words, as usual. But you can find us at thecodexstation.com, one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get some merch, meet the team, let us know what you like and don't like. And you can find us on all of the
socials. He wants us to talk about the socials, because we're absolutely, positively doctor prescribed dripping with them. We're dripping with the socials. And the best thing we can do to help our social problem is to give them to you. And we would love to give them to you one button at a time.
Yes.
I like that. One button at a time. That's pretty cool.
Like we say at the end of those reviews, might be a click for you, but it means everything to us.
There you go.
That's very true. That's very true.
Like Boomhouse said on King of the Hill. Man, that dang on internet, man. You know, click. It real easy, man.
And have one arm much bigger than the other arm.
All right, then let's go ahead and kick off this show. I made a pretty good intro, so we're just going to jump straight to the intro.
Let's see.
No countdown. Ready? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. See you in about 45 seconds.
That intro went from Hollywood Undead to Capcom vs. Marvel.
Everybody around the golf claps for Sal.
Thank you very much.
He always brings it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this is the Codex Station. This is Comic Character of the Week. I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is Dan Kelly. Over there is a Ric Flair of Comics.
You say Dan Kelly?
Dan the
the Man
Dan.
Kelly.
Dan the
I said
Man
Dan the Man Kelly. I
Oh.
said Dan the Man Kelly. And of course, J-Dub right there. All right, Dan, you want to kick us off with the intro?
Yes. So she first appeared in March 1968 in Marvel Superheroes 13. She was created by Roy Thomas and Gene Colan. Would be a few more years after that before she actually. Oh, what's up, Talking Geek?
Hey,
Before-
Talking Geek.
Before she actually became a superhero, because for years and years she was just a cast member for Captain Marvel's book, Marvel. So when they decided to make her a superhero, the thing that gave her powers was there was energy from an explosion of this device called the psychic magnetron device that caused her DNA to be fused with Marvel's DNA, and that turned her into a Kree-human hybrid and gave her powers. And her powers have changed over the years depending on which identity she has. But currently, her powers for Captain Marvel are Liz was 3 months old.
There's better ways to fuse DNA. Just saying.
Yeah. So her powers currently as Captain Marvel are super strength, flight, energy manipulation, a seventh sense precognition type of thing, accelerated healing, plus she has military training in hand-to-hand combat and firearms and strategy. Hey, no problem. You're here at the beginning.
Yes.
And here's a bit of trivia for you. Do you guys know why they decided to turn her into a superhero and not, where, like I said, she was just a supporting cast member before that?
Because they wanted women to be more mainstream as superheroes in that background.
Because they needed, since DC had a stacked blonde powerhouse Marvel figure, they needed one too.
You want to give a guess, Sal?
Nah.
Because he's about to say you're both wrong. So, I mean.
Yeah, you're both wrong. So apparently the story goes from Roy Thomas, who had originally co-created her, was that at the time they were firing a lot of Marvel writers off of books, and he was taking over as writer of them for, whatever reason. And he said the perception of these writers was that he was just firing them off the books so he could take over as the writer. And he's like, that wasn't the case. Knowing Roy Thomas, it's to be debated on whether it was or not. So he says he went to Stan Lee and said, hey, can we create a book that someone else can take and write? So, so it's like, hey, look, I'm not doing this one, even though I created him. And he said Stan had just created the She-Hulk book. So that's why they decided to take her and make her Miss Marvel.
Is Stan Lee credited as a She-Hulk creator?
I think he is.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and check it to be sure, because Roy also might have just been saying like Stan just put the book out in the sense that he was the
publisher,
editor in chief. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So up next, our first segment of the night is how this character works best, and I will go first on this one. Let's see. What do I have for my notes that I like? I have a ton of shit written down, but I'll just give you some of the highlights. She is a cosmic powerhouse. I mean, she is a very strong female lead, and it really doesn't bother me being female whatsoever, but I like how strong and powerful she is. She's like almost comparable to like Silver Surfer on the cosmic level, I think. They're almost equal set, I think, in power sets, She's somewhat flawed. She's a relatable hero, especially in the beginning, because they gave her like PTSD, they gave her alcoholism, so they made her flawed. They made her a relatable hero, and I like that too. She's a great military leader, tactician. She's one of those types that she likes to lead, but she also has those flaws or insecurities, which make her more human, and I like that. That's why I like best about her. I think she works best solo. I don't think she works well with a team so much, because I think they kind of mute her when she's working as a team, because you have this whole group team up there and they're like, oh, let's call in Captain Marvel. Well, why did we call her first? Why wasn't she from the beginning? That type of thing. So I think they kind of mute her. That's just the way it's written, I think. But I think she gets kind of muted when she's not by herself. So that's what I feel about it. How about you, Dan? What about you?
I don't quite like her as much on her own. I think that she's developed over the years into a strong leader.
Very developed.
So, I like her. She works fine on her own, but I like her working with a team. But whereas before she worked better as just a team member, she has developed to the point where I think she's good as a team leader now. And it's not always to the best too, because she could be pretty headstrong, and once she gets her mindset to something, that's just how it is. And as we saw with something like Civil War 2, it doesn't always work out the best. But the fact that she's led a few different teams, which I'll get into later with some other stuff, I think is good. And I think she works better in space than she does on Earth, because I wouldn't put her quite at the Silver Surfer power level, because I think the Silver Surfer is like top tier. I think she's probably a step or two below him, but I do think she, like you said, Sal, she's a cosmic powerhouse, and I think she's really kind of too overpowered just to keep her on Earth, because you have someone like Thor who's who is overpowered too, and you got a couple of them, but you can't have too many of them, because then if you have a team of Supermans, what's the point?
Right.
So I think, and the fact that she has the ties to the Kree, and she can function in space, without needing a spacesuit or anything. I think she works best going on space adventures, and she can oh hey, and in this issue, we're gonna have the Guardians of the Galaxy for a couple issues, and hey, in this one she's gonna run into the Starjammers, and and I just and helping different alien races and all kinds of stuff. So I think she works best like that. Stop back on Earth, check in, go back out to space.
Okay. All right. Very good. Uncle Gary, how about you?
I like the fact that she's flawed, recovering alcoholic. She's had her ups and her downs. I like her military background. I like her where she has ascended to be the leader of a team. I like her when she's leading an Avengers team, and she's overcome her, her troubles. And sometimes she is a little hard-headed and stubborn, and and doesn't always, believes her way is the right way, and sometimes it comes and bites her in the ass. But I do like that she's headstrong that way, and that she, she's just very dominant. I mean, when we get into criticism, I think for a while, her and Power Girl really mirror each other with attitude, or the old version of Power Girl, not what they're doing now. And I like that. I mean, I really like that in Power Girl, but it seemed like that's what they were doing with her, is they were just mirroring, how Power Girl's attitude was, and she was so, pushy and, militant in her thoughts, how to do things, and was stubborn, and that's the way Carol was. But I think they gave her a lot of humanity when they gave her a drinking problem, and the interaction she's had with Stark, who's had his own problems with that, I think is an interesting relationship where they can both relate because of alcoholism. So I like her when she's a flawed character, just trying to do the best she can, and the fact that she's overcome things, and I like it when she is leading a team of Avengers.
All right, very good. How about you, Jamie?
There's something Dan said that is mine, and that's the fact that she has this linear determination. Like, she just, whatever goal, whatever she's trying to do, she accomplishes, whether it's the right way or not. She's just completely, it's unshakable. And that's the person that I want every time I'm reading her character, is I'm going after this, whether you're with me, whether you're not, or in front of me, I'm getting through.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right, so let's go ahead and jump then to our badass moments. And Jamie, do you want to go first for badass moments?
Yeah, sure. So I've got Carol basically annihilating the Skrulls in Secret Invasion. I go back to this every time because of the fact that I feel like that book was a real shining kind of moment for her in a lot of ways, especially the big set. Near the end, there's a big spoiler. I don't want to really say it out loud, but just
I mean,
her
the book's like 20 years old. I think you can say it.
spoiler, but I don't care. My second one is actually from 1971. It's her versus the Hulk, and to put her versus the juggernaut of the superhero team of the Avengers at the time, to me was insane. But it showcased everything that they needed to for her to just be a badass all the way around. And my last one is, I kind of broke a rule. This is kind of a two-parter. I'm going to go with Civil War 2. And there's a part where her and Tony are going at it back and forth over it's an inhuman teenager that basically can see the future, but they don't know if it's going to happen or if this is just something he's seeing that could inevitably lead to something happening. But Tony's sitting down on the curb. This is near middle of the book. And Carol comes out and basically tells him, like, I'm going to get this kid, and if you try to stop me, I'm ending you. And he's like, just sitting on the curb playing with something. He's like, you've been to a meeting lately? And she's like, that has nothing to do with this. He goes, as your sponsor, I want to know if you've been to a meeting lately. And she's like, Tony, I'm going to end you. And he's like, get to a meeting first, and then we'll settle this once and for all. Then the next issue, she blows a giant hole through his chest. In the most chaotic, awesome sequence of her I've ever seen, and just annihilates and kills Tony Stark. So those are my three.
All right, that's pretty badass. All right, Uncle Gary, you're up next.
All right. Mine are a little more general. Just the fact that what they've done with the character to overcome alcoholism, that's badass in real life.
I agree with that.
And in the story. So that's just a societal statement that I'm going to say, that I think sometimes the most badass thing a person can do is overcome an addiction. So
I trust me, I believe in that full-heartedly. I did it myself. So
good. Well, then that's badass and good for you, my friend. So for sure. I want to, and I'm going to take every now and then.
What's up, Adam?
Hey, Adam.
What's up,
every
Adam?
now and then, y'all will take something from the MCU, and it was pretty badass, even if it was overpowered when she just blew through Thanos's flagship.
yeah,
I did like that.
I mean that was pretty freaking cool. So in the nick of time, and she just destroys that thing on her own. That was pretty damn cool. So usually I don't shout out the MCU, but not because they don't deserve it, because I try to keep it to comics.
yes.
But I remember watching that, and that was just like, okay, that is really awesome. So,
And then what did you do? It's like, hi, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
Yeah, exactly. And that, I love the innuendo there. So
Well, yeah, I mean, that, kind of touched on the comics with them.
absolutely, yeah, and which was fun, kind of a funny date you would never have seen coming, which was great.
Yeah.
And
All
then
that date they went on was hysterical when he was she was paying, and he was like, "Can I order 2 meals?"
yeah,
and they're fighting the bad guys, and he's like, "Look, he's like, I don't get to eat very good often. Like, you seem like you got this handled."
yeah. And just for a while she was with Wonder Man too, so she gets around a little bit. And my other badass moment is she was leading an Avengers team, but in Mighty Avengers she picked the team, and the team she picks, you talk about powerhouses.
Yeah, it was pretty overpowered.
Carol herself, Wonder Man, Ares, Sentry, Iron Man. Oh my God! I mean, I just thought that's pretty badass. That's the team that she picks, and she's going to lead. And oh man, you talk about punching holes in planets. That's what that team could do.
Yeah.
So I just think it was kind of badass that here she didn't just pick a team of people that that her power set eclipsed theirs. She went out and got the biggest guns that she could get at that time to be on that team, and especially Sentry, who we all know is batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And Tony even warned her about, are you sure about the Sentry? And she goes, I think we can handle it. But I mean, so I think even though she doesn't have cojones, the cojones she had on her to pick that team, I just thought says a lot about the stubbornness and the hard-headedness of this character. That is her Avengers team.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, you pick a team and you put Iron Man on it, and Iron Man is the weakest member of the team.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
it.
and
That's
Ares,
right
my God,
there.
Ares on the team. So yeah,
How do you even approach that? I would say, Ares, what are you doing
Yeah.
here? Do you want
Yeah.
to come over here
Yeah,
and join our
come
team?
over here, right? And Ares. So, like I said, Ares, Wonder Man, Iron Man, Carol, and the Sentry. Wow. That's an Avengers team. You just don't like we're talking about a team of Supermen. That was a team of Supermen right there.
Yeah, very true.
But she picked it. That's what I think is cool. That's the team she picked.
That's cool. That is cool. All right, Dan, you're next.
My first one isn't one that's, a power thing. It's just one that I thought was pretty cool. It's from, if you guys have read Marvel Fanfare, issue 24. It's after she's lost her powers. And in Marvel, there's a long-running poker game between a few of the characters. And she gets brought to the game by... I forget who it is that brought her to it. It's not Wasp, because Wasp missed the game, but it's whoever brought her. And she gets there, and they're like, "Oh, no outsiders." And she's like, "No, I'm Miss Marvel. This is me." And they're like, "Oh man, hey." She beat everybody at the table in poker playing all night. She beat the Thing, Wolverine, Nick Fury, Beast, and Wonder Man. Took all their money playing them in poker all night. I thought that was, again, it's not earth shattering, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's a powerhouse lineup. For you to get into that poker game and take those players, that's pretty cool.
That is.
Yeah, and like I said, anybody that's read Marvel for a while, I don't think that they've, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't touched on that thing in a long, long time. But that used to be something that they would bring up every once in a while, how there was this poker game going, like Wolverine and the Thing and like Fury were always at it. Then there'd be a couple different ones here or there.
It was the Things game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
The next one I've got is Uncanny X-Men 158. When she breaks into... she used her military clearance and she breaks into the Pentagon and she erases all traces that they have of herself and of the X-Men, erases everything from their files. And I thought that was pretty badass too, to just go against the government and be like, yeah, we're just taking ourselves out of it here. You don't have any...
never saw us.
Yeah. Another one I got is Captain Marvel issue 5. I forget which volume it is, but it'll be in my recommended readings later. She is helping this alien race whose planet was destroyed. They got relocated to this other planet, and the people that relocated them there, this Galactic Alliance, are trying to forcibly take them off of the planet for reasons that you'll see when you read the book. And she shows up and is like, is helping him. Is like, no, you're not taking it. And it's the Spartax, who is this, it's Star-Lord's father, that's like the emperor of this race, and their entire like war fleet is there in space, and she stands up to him single-handedly, and again, single-handedly is fighting this entire space fleet by herself, and like, she's taking them out. She's knocking out ships left and right. And, there's not many characters that have the power that can actually be able to do that.
They portrayed that in the MCU as well, in her first movie, where the Ronin shows up with his ships, and she just starts obliterating them all, left and right.
And then one just kind of in general, like Gary said, it's not really a specific moment, just kind of in general for the character, that she has overcome being raped, the betrayal of her teammates, the loss of her powers, the loss of her memory or her powers and memory being stolen, and alcoholism. And she has managed to overcome all of that to become one of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe. And
Absolutely.
it's a lot, Stark overcame being an alcoholic. characters might overcome one thing. That's a whole laundry list of stuff to overcome.
Yeah.
And not only survive it, but to come out stronger.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Good badass moments, Dan. Good badass moments. All right, for mine, actually, Jamie took one, which is cool. I don't mind. That's pretty awesome. It was where she took out Iron Man in Civil War II. That was just an epic moment for me. I do want to give a shout out for Gary's thing, and also Dan, what just Dan said about overcoming alcoholism. I think that's a very powerful badass moment, even for everybody, especially Jamie. Good on you for doing that as well.
Yep.
And just a general PSA to anybody out there, if you're struggling with that, reach out to somebody. There's always help. There's always help around, so don't feel like you have to go it alone.
I mean, if you guys remember the early days, it was always me with that giant ass blue cup of just Crown Royal and Crown Royal.
Crown Royal, mixed with Crown Royal. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
oh, God.
You mix it with ice?
No, I don't like watering down my
frozen
knees.
Crown Royal. Frozen Crown Royal. That's what he did. Yeah. All right. So my last two epic moments are during the last Avenger arc. She actually takes down the Avengers. She's under orders from Vox Supreme to kill the Avengers, but she outmaneuvers and defeats Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, She-Hulk, and this is all in 4 issues. So it was a pretty epic. It actually credits to her tactician abilities as well. So I love that about her. And then I got an early one as well. It was sort of near Dan's. This is X-Men 166, where she just obliterates a colony of Brood. The Brood enemy of the X-Men from a long time ago. She just obliterates an entire alien colony with her because she had just gotten the power set of binary because she was experimented on. So she'd just gotten those cosmic powers from there, and she just wipes out the Brood colony. It was just a powerful moment for her on that. So those are my 3 badass moments there.
Very good. I like them.
So let's go ahead and jump to critiques and criticisms. Let's not skip over that like I did last week. All right. So Jamie, do you want to go first with this one again? We'll go around the block.
I'll take it.
All right, go ahead.
My biggest problem is actually part of the best thing about her is that determination. Most of the time when she goes after like a goal or an assignment or trying to take down somebody, she is so impulsive. She just reacts automatically and doesn't think about consequences at the end. And I feel like that deters from her character a little bit more because there's a lot of times she thinks things through and it works out. But most of the time it's I hit first, ask questions later. Okay. So that it just bothers me. I don't know why. It's just like, you are so good at everything. Just stop punching people first.
just ask a question or two. Come on. All right, I'll go next with this one, then we'll go around the rest of the way. I think the Civil War II made her an unlikable character because she had that kind of, I don't want to say bitchiness, but I'm going to say bitchiness, but that's not really it. But sassy, like you said, she's very strong and focused and determined to get to, her goal that nothing's going to stop her, but that can also cause, a lot of repercussions down the road. I think over the years, I think there's been a lack of consistent characterization on her. Like they can't really, nail down something for her and keep her consistent. I just, with her, her identity crisis in Marvel is all over the place. Wake up on Tuesday. What is she now? Okay, all right, we're going with that. So I mean, if they could just kind of level that out, I think it would be a lot better. But I mean, there's not much else I don't like about her, so I'll just go with those for right now. Dan, how about you?
I got a few.
Okay, let's hit it.
I don't like how they messed with her origin. Again, not everything has to go back and be retconned and changed. When they did, what was the series? It's like The Secret Life of Captain Marvel or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Talking Geek. Watch it.
Yep.
It's on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it.
See,
it's on the replay.
Yeah, but when they did that series and they revealed, oh yeah, well she's actually half Kree because her mother was Kree, and it's like, her origin was fine. you didn't have to add that to it, because then you add that to it and it's like, oh, and then she just happened to become friends with Marvel and all this stuff. Like, it's just, it's something that didn't need to be done.
I agree with that.
And, you kind of mentioned something with her identities, like, oh, she's Carol Danvers. Oh, well, now she's Miss Marvel. Oh, now she's Carol Danvers again. Oh, nope, now she's Binary. Oh, now she's Warbird. Oh, now she's Captain Marvel. All right, who's she going to be next year? Like,
Yeah.
I can't think of any other characters that have had this many identities as she's had.
Hank Pym, maybe.
Who?
Hank Pym, maybe.
Yeah, Hank Pym. But, that's because he was, yeah. Her and Hank Pym, maybe they should date each other.
Yeah, think that. I mean, they could have a million different dates because they could be a million different people.
And again, now that there's been the Captain Marvel movies, damn, that one really tickled Sal.
Please continue.
They ain't the light that's making them red, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the red light.
Now that they've made her they've done the Captain Marvel movies. Excuse me, in the MCU, they're probably not going to have her change identities again. I would assume
they should.
And again, she's also, there's also Marvel's son and Marvel's daughter who are both calling themselves Captain Marvel. So who's to say 5 or 6 years from now, they don't decide like, well, they're going to be Captain Marvel and we'll just give her some other name again. So I think, it's been too many identities for her. I think she in Avengers Annual 10, after everything that happened in 200, which I'm sure we're going to get into, I think she forgave the Avengers too easily. She just kind of said, you all betrayed me, and and this is why. And they were like, oh man, we're sorry, we didn't really realize. And then she's like, it's okay, I've moved past it now. Like, no, Claremont did good with calling out the writers and stuff that they did in that issue, but she just kind of forgave him and moved on too easily from that, I feel like.
Well, you know what? I think, though, that was probably an editorial decision, because if every time you're bringing that up and criticizing that, you're pointing back to what a shitty story that was. So I think, like you say, I mean, I understand that is it is an easy forgiveness, but if they dwelled on that a lot, then every time Carol dwells on it, Marvel is pointing out that look what we published. Look at the steaming pile of shit that we published. So I think that's an editorial decision to
because it was just a page, if I remember correctly, where she was just like, "This is what happened. This is what you guys did. You betrayed me." Blah blah blah. And then they're like, "We're sorry."
And she's like, "I forgive you. Let's move on." I don't think it would have been anything they had to deal with further in the comics, because at that point she was out of the Avengers comics. At that point, she was depowered and she was with the X-Men, and she was a supporting character with the X-Men for a long time. I think they could have done what they did, which, all right, we're removing her from the Avengers, we're making her X-Men supporting character, and then just, whatever years later, when they have her in the Avengers again, be like, all right, I worked through it and I, moved past it and I forgive you now. But for her to like do all of that in the span of just a couple panels, I thought was just letting them off too easy.
Well, listen, I think it's an editorial thing.
Yeah.
The fact that nobody, to this day, nobody will claim writing that book.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We know Perez did the art, but nobody wants to claim who wrote that book. Who there's like 4 different writers that were part of this, and none of them want to claim. Yeah, and Claremont, and I had this conversation with Claremont about writing Annual 10, and he says, "Yeah, I had to write that because you know what? I'm not a big fan of rape."
Well, he was also the writer on her solo book too, so it's not like he was just, I don't like what they did to this character. It was, I don't like what they did to this character that I spent a lot of time working on.
Yeah.
So, well, that may be the case, but what he made clear to me was he wasn't a big fan of rape.
Yeah.
The way he said it, he was really disgusted with it, and it's been many years. So that, like I said, he didn't go into the backstory with the character and his involvement with it, but it was just, on the forefront of his tongue was the fact that just the disgust that he said it with, it still resonates with him.
Well, I think I was pointing out that since he was the one that wrote her solo book,
then it would be
that's probably
prickly.
What gave him the juice to be able to write the annual, as opposed to if he had never worked on the character before. That that's probably why he was able to come in and do that.
Well, and what he wrote on that annual, that's not an X-Men book.
Yeah,
he jumped over to Avengers to write that book.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that because he wrote her solo title for so long before that, that's probably why he was able to do that, as opposed to if he had never written her before, they would have been like, no, go write a Wolverine story.
Absolutely, 100%. But I mean, he was at the height of his power then, and he had the power to say, I'm writing this, and put it in an Avengers book, which it should have been in. You know, it was a repudiation of the Avengers 200, so it should have been in an Avengers book. But yeah, Claremont had the juice to do that time, and I agree that it was probably made it extra prickly because that was a character that he had backstory with. But he, like I said, just the disgust he said that to me just showed that he still was passionate about it.
Yeah, and then the other two gripes I have with her are just completely just stupid and petty on my part. I think the helmet, when she puts it on and has the mohawk, just looks incredibly stupid. So are they trying to tell me that every time? What?
I like the mohawk. Go ahead.
Like every time she puts it on, are you saying like, okay, I'm putting my helmet on, let me push my hair up through this thing in the helmet and put it on so that my hair? It's just dumb. And and the whole thing with her cat being this alien Flurgan, that's stupid.
It was funny in the movie.
Yeah.
But I think that was, Was it first introduced like that in the movie or in the comics?
No, it was in the comic for a few years.
Okay.
Because
my first experience was in the movie, and I thought it was funny as hell. Yeah.
That's it for me.
All right, Uncle Gary, you're up.
All right. Well, I think the main criticism I had was just for too long. Especially in the 70s, I think they were just trying to mimic Power Girl, and she didn't have a whole lot of personality, and it was just to be a headstrong, powerhouse blonde, and it was just kind of a carbon copy of Power Girl. But since then, they've really fleshed out her character and given her own unique backstory and things like that, where her personality is multifaceted, whereas Power Girl's personality has gone backwards with how they've treated her lately, where she's lost that edge and that fire that made her what she was. But I really don't have much to criticize. I think she's a fine character, and the fact that she's bullheaded and all that, just like people in real life, that they don't that they're not they're not nuanced, that they just charge full speed ahead, and that's what she does. So that's okay with me.
All right, very good. All right, before we jump to top covers, Jamie, do we want to talk about April's giveaway?
That'll be announced on Saturday.
Oh, well then that's fine then.
Yes, because I'll have the giveaway on Saturday.
All right, stay tuned, folks, for the giveaway for April. Will be announced on Saturday. Who won the March Madness giveaway again?
Comics Limited. Our boy Travis has been on the show a few times. He didn't even enter. He was a member.
All right.
And being a member Travis, for that $1 a month gets you automatically entered.
There you go.
Awesome. Travis, reach out to us. Give us your address because I've got the books to send to you. So get that to me so I can get those.
If you want to be automatically entered, it only costs you $1 a month.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the sign when you walk down into Gary's basement.
Yeah. Automatically entered.
For $1. $1. Speaking of $1, we got some top covers that cost more than $1. Uncle Gary, do you want to go first with yours?
Sure.
I got you queued up right here.
Why not? All right. I like a lot of number ones. So let's go with that first midriff bearing cover. I think it's a great debut cover, and it was done by the great John Romita Sr., inked by Dick Giordano. That's just a fun looking debut there. I like that a lot.
I like it too.
Debut issue 1. So, and who doesn't love floating heads? So, and then action sequence, action vignettes and all that. And even Carol on the phone. I mean, what a great vignette that is, Carol on the phone.
There you go.
There you go.
Well,
So,
it was the 70s. So
and look at that Farrah Fawcett. There you go, geek. Look at that Farrah Fawcett hairdo. So there you go. So and the
that works
corner
for me.
box.
That works
The
for me.
female fights back in the corner box. I love it. So that was a lot of fun. The one on the right, Alex Ross variant cover to Captain Marvel 1, cover C. Just Alex Ross giving different variations of Carol's different superhero personas, and one Alex Ross. What did that say?
There's no shopping spree at Gary's basement.
Oh yeah, sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. Can you
Diane, get the gun?
Yeah. Listen, if you can outrun bullets, you're good. Let's see. No, I think booze will be fine. No shopping. And the one on the left, God bless you, Frank Cho. that is wow. Mm-hmm. Those are some powerful thighs there. I dig that. I dig a curvy gal with muscles. So Frank Cho, you can draw my Miss Marvel anytime you want, buddy. So there you go. Frank Cho, Miss Marvel 1, Volume 2. So those are my covers.
Cha-ching. All right, Dan, I got you queued up here next. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, look at that.
Uh-oh. Look at that.
So yeah, Miss Marvel 1, the Frank Cho. I mean, it's a great looking cover. That's my favorite of all the costumes she's had. That's my favorite one, and it's
same here.
And it's not even close. It's not even close for the other ones. That Dave Cockrum costume is just so badass.
Mm-hmm. I love the sash too.
Yeah, and then like Gary had the Captain Marvel one, all the way on the right, the Alex Ross one. Again, and I'm sure anybody that's watched these knows when we have some of these covers that feature all the different versions of a character throughout the years. If they're done good, I like them, and this one's done great. Where you see all the different iterations of them. You see the Miss Marvel, the Miss Marvel / Warbird, the Binary, the Captain Marvel. I just, I think that looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh yeah, Boo says, thanks, Gary, for not shooting me.
Well, I wouldn't be the one shooting anyway. The redhead shoots.
But yeah, so I dig that one. I mean, it's an Alex Ross cover, and then also, like I said, showing all the different iterations. And I like how he even gets the detail of the different haircuts she has as the original Miss Marvel, as opposed to the one she had later. And then the X-Men 164 when she becomes Binary, next to the Cockrum costume. That would be my second favorite one that she has. That's just such a badass look, and was such a departure from what she had been, that I think it looked great, and the cover really stands out there too, where she's front and center and just overcome with power.
Right.
Yeah, classic
cover. That's an awesome cover, man. I love that cover.
All right, Jamie, I thought that I had it when I was getting ready to pull books out, and I was like, oh, I got to pull some Miss Marvel ones out, and I didn't have time to really grab a bunch. And I went to get that one out, and I got 163 and 165. And I'm like, shit, I could have sworn that I had that one.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But you don't. All right, Jamie,
maybe it's hiding.
Up next.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Oh, we got one that's the same. But all the way on the left, we got Ms. Marvel #1. Uncle Gary's had a little bit more on there, but yeah, I agree. This is just awesome, especially the midriff. So the middle one is Captain Marvel #1. This is the Art Germ variant for it, and I just think this is just amazing looking. From the hands glowing to the world behind her just floating.
Yeah. I like it too. Yeah.
And then the last one, Earth's Mightiest Hero, Captain Marvel #1. I just love the stoic pose, and I love the fact that she has the mohawk without the helmet.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you
There you
go.
go.
Because that's how it fits in there, Dan.
Okay.
A lot of product in that hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Nice covers. Nice covers. All right,
Thank
let's
you.
jump to mine here. There we go. Look at that. I have
Man,
that extra.
I almost put
164.
that Miss Marvel cover in the middle.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. I was considering that one.
Yep. That one is by Bob Wig and Dave Cockrum.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's grabbing the lizard by the tail, way to like sling him somewhere. It's pretty cool. I love that cover. I like the box in that too. The small picture box of her. I like that. That was pretty awesome.
She's
Of course,
sassy.
you got the X-Men 164. You know, can't go wrong with that. I'm like with Dan. I like the Warbird costume the best, and Binary is a very close second. But for my last cover there, number 11, that is by Mark Brooks. So I like this one because she's ripping open her flight suit. She's already in space. She's ripping open the flight suit like she's getting ready to fight. I like that pose, and of course, she's working that sash like she had with Warbird too, and I like that. So
I don't know how that sash fit under the flight suit though.
I don't know either, but I like it. It works
She
for me.
tucked it in her sock.
I like
I guess the same way that Superman's cape fits in the back of his
suit. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. That's why the Flash's costume is the best. It's in his ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Now for some top covers, we can go ahead and get some essential reading out of the way. And Uncle Garrett, you want to go first with this one?
Sure. Let's go first.
Right, let's find you here, Uncle Garrett. Where are you? There you are.
All right. So for my essential reading, at the top there, I have Avengers 200, Avengers Annual 10. The reason I had those there is because to understand the character of her, I think you have to read these. Even though they're not highlights of her doing badass things or anything like that, I just think it's essential to read those to get a feel of who the character is and what she went through. And the repudiation of the Avengers in Annual 10 is just, it's just a gut punch to the Avengers, and they didn't even see it coming. They had no idea that their behavior was so heinous, and that that they should be ashamed of how they treated it. And I loved how Carol let them have it, and I really, I like that. But that again, that's Chris Claremont's repudiation of Avengers 200 and that ridiculous storyline where they let somebody seduce her using magic and other unsavory things, and that she gets pregnant and has a child within days, and no red flags, right? And at one point,
zero.
I guess at one point Tony kind of questioned it, but then was like, "Oh, okay, I guess it's okay."
It's a love story for the ages.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just terrible.
And for a big issue 200, like that should be a big time celebratory issue for any book when you hit 100, 200, things like that.
If you want to contrast, read JLA 200.
Yeah.
Read Justice League of America 200, and you'll see that is everything an anniversary book should be. Avengers 200 is everything it should not be. So there's your deck. And I love the Avengers and the JLA so much. It hurt me that Avengers 200, that's what that book is remembered for. So the Mighty Avengers 1 through 6, Volume 1 is the Ultron Initiative trade paperback. And I would even say read the second arc too, which was a Venom arc, which makes Sal happy. But the Mighty Avengers, that first 1 through 6, Bendis did the writing. Cho did the art. Oh my God, I love that art that he did on it. But that's where Carol picks her team of Avengers, and she goes for all these powerhouses, and she does actually pick Wasp, and I think Black Widow was on the team. So I mean, she had other characters on the team, but just the fact that she went for so many heavy hitters, man, was just amazing. And she's running the team, and I really enjoyed her in that leadership role. And then the last one is Captain Marvel 1-7, Volume 8, In Pursuit of Flight. It's where she really takes on the. I think she becomes comfortable with being called Captain Marvel in that, and she settles into it. And In Pursuit of Flight's the trade, and she goes back in time, and she's in World War II, and I always get a kick out of that stuff when we do that, and in that era, and so I enjoyed the time travel aspect of that, where she was caught in World War II and is with a group of pilots, and I just enjoyed that story a whole lot. So those are my 3 Captain Marvel must reads, and like I said, the first 2, Avengers 200 and Annual 10. That's just because I think it's essential, to read those to set up who the character is.
All right, very cool. Dan, I got yours ready to go. You ready?
Yep.
There you go.
All right. So my first was pretty much along the lines of Gary. I just put 197 to 200 because 197, 198, 199, it's not the main story, but it's 197 where she first goes to see Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. And that's where she kind of faints. And then, 98, 99, it shows that she's pregnant, and you see it's just a couple panels in each one, but you see the the evolution of her, like this quick pregnancy there. And then 200 is the issue where it really deals with all the stuff. But yeah, that, and then like Gary said, and then the Annual 10, it's, they're not celebratory stories.
No.
For the character, but they're because of what they are and what they did, they're, I think, like Gary said, they're absolutely essential for reading, for understanding the character.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think where it says we have recommended reading, I think the word on those is essential reading.
Yeah. And later on, the alcoholism that she had later on really kind of starts stemming from the stuff that went on here. So
absolutely,
if they hadn't written this atrocious story in Avengers 200, then it doesn't go. Then Avengers Annual 10, we don't get what happens in that. We maybe don't get the alcoholism later, or maybe they still do it and they just find something else.
And the other trauma that we haven't touched on as much is what Rogue did to her.
Yeah,
taking her powers and her memories and all that.
Yeah.
I mean that's traumatic. That's just another thing that character. I mean, we briefly touched on her losing her powers, but just the fact that they were stolen from her like that with her memories and all. So that's just another really tough hit to that character of what she had to overcome.
Yeah, right after she, got away from, from this abuser and got back to the, the regular world. Oh, we're gonna steal you're gonna have someone steal your powers, steal your memories, and you're just gonna fall into the ocean, and almost die.
And think about this too, for a character that is so powerful, to be powerless.
Yeah,
it's really crippling.
Yeah.
So that those are stories that like I said, they're important to read for the overall understanding of the character. And then I also had the Kang Dynasty on there, which was Avengers issues 41 through 54 of the Volume 3, the one that relaunched with Kurt Busiek.
So good. That whole storyline is so great.
Yes. But she played a pretty big role in it. This is, I think, one of the first times that she really stepped up as a leader, where she was leading her own. The Avengers were kind of broken up into different teams, and she was leading her own team against the I forget what was his stupid name, Master of the World. Was that what it was?
That sounds right.
Yeah, where he was like leading the team against this guy that was going on while all the Kang stuff is going on. And, Kang's son, Marcus, who, was very much like the Marcus from Avengers 200 that abused her and did all that, even though it's a different guy, essentially could still be the same one. So all the stuff she went through with him and, and stepping up as a leader and all that, I thought that was, a very important story for her. And then higher, further, faster, more, it's it was the saying they used in the movie, they used it in a lot of the marketing and stuff. It was the name of the storyline from Captain Marvel issues 1 through 6. Again, I forget which volume. I believe it's the one that came out in 2014, if I have my date right. But that was the first story arc in it, and like I said, that's when she decides that she's going to leave Earth for a while. She's talking with Iron Man, who says, we really should have an Avengers presence in space. Someone that can go up, be there for a few minutes or for a few months, come back, someone else take over for him for a while. And she decides that she's going to be the first one. So she goes up into space and, ends up, helping out this alien race and going against, this, big invasion force. So that was a pretty good story too. And it's, the start of her being on her own out in space.
All right. Very cool.
Very good. Very good.
That's good. All right, Jamie, I got yours queued up.
All right.
There you go.
Well, it would be funny to see Kang take that helmet off and have one of those stupid beards.
Right. All right. So first up, I got The Life of Captain Marvel. I wrote everything because I think I did good last week when I actually wrote stuff and wasn't going off the top of my head. So we're trying this again. So I put, this is the ultimate Who is Carol Danvers story, redefines her origin in a way that makes her even more compelling, tying her powers and identity to something way more personal. It explores her relationship with her family, unpacks her trauma, and adds depth into her backstory that makes her feel more human than ever. If you ever want a chance to connect with this character, this is the book that I'm saying definitely try to. I believe it was only, 12 issues?
It wasn't long.
No, I think it was a 12 issue for that one, if I'm not mistaken. I got to look back. Next up, I've got Captain Marvel from 2012. I said it had this. This is the run that truly elevated Carol into the big leagues. It's where she fully embraces the Captain Marvel mantle and becomes a symbol of inspiration. I thought that DeConnick, the writer, gives Carol a mix of confidence, wit, and determination, while also exploring her struggles with self-doubt. I thought that between the writing in this and the art, it was just too good to pass up.
5 issues, Life of Captain Marvel.
That one was 5 issues? Okay, then I was probably thinking Captain Marvel from 2012. And lastly, I've got Miss Marvel from 1977, written by Chris Claremont himself. This one's old school, but still one of the best. Claremont took Carol and actually gave her more depth, setting a foundation for everything we got that's great about her today. She was already fighting for equal respect long before it was a major discussion in comics. I believe this one's a classic, and it still holds up well, especially if you like vintage Marvel storytelling.
Yep, I agree with that. Because
very good. I think, and I think I'm 1 issue away from having all of them, so that's cool.
Very cool.
And that's the series where Mystique first appeared.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Who was the reason that Rogue stole her powers for, when Mystique decided she was going to have this hard on and take out Captain Marvel.
Right.
Yep.
Good stories, Jamie. All right. So I am up next. And look at that. So I'm not going to divulge into more of the 200 annual 10. Gary and Dan pretty much sum that up pretty. Yeah,
I try to stay away from those. I knew that was a hot topic.
I couldn't. I wanted to choose something else, but I'm like, no, I got to at least mention it. That even if I have to echo your guys' comments, which I do.
Well, you know what? It is essential.
It is. But let me jump to the Marvel 1977, the 1 through 23. Jamie hit this on the head for a lot of things. This is her. First role as a solo superhero. She is, struggling with her new identity. She's battling Scorpion. She's battling the Destructor while dealing with workplace sexism of J. Jonah Jameson. She battles AIM and MODOK. Deathbird
is in there too.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll get. Yep, let's get to that.
Deathbird,
She
yep.
fights a super adaptoid Deathbird, and of course Mystique does show up in the later issues of this one. This is a great, I think, run all around. It's their first superhero identity, and you know, there's like early things like where she's independent, she's showing she's a powerful woman, she's breaking stereotypes. This is like 1977, folks. So this is not, run of the mill type of thing that you see every day in 1977. So they're really laying the groundwork for a lot of things, and even for the character, they're laying the groundwork for her to eventually evolve to be binary and Captain Marvel. So
they're laying the groundwork for everything she's doing in 2025 too.
Exactly. So we're simpatico on that one, Jamie. We're simpatico on that one. All right,
Miss
so
Marvel 16 is the only one I need. Number 16.
Ooh,
nice. So for Captain Marvel: Last Adventure, this arc explores Carol's resistance, intelligence, and moral struggle, showing that even when she seems like she's the villain, she's always fighting for the greater good. And I like that because it adds depth to her, it adds depth to her, and it shows more of a connection to the Kree. So I like that because, of course, outer space stuff, space alien fights, that's her wheelhouse. So I think this is a super good turning point for her character and reinforcing the status as a top tier hero. So this is definitely one to check out as well.
Isn't that where she kicked the Avengers' butts?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yep. From my badass moments. Yep. All right, there we go. Drop my notes there. We don't leave my notes now because we're moving on to the next segment.
As a side note, anybody remember a long time ago when Sal had said that he was going to get a new T-shirt every week?
I did.
Whoever the character of the week was, and he did that for like 3 weeks and then stopped. And I was like, that's going to be a lot of T-shirts that you're ordering.
I know. I had to stop. I got a few though. I mean, I got like Silver Surfer. I got Fantastic.
The addiction was real.
Yeah, I got the Falcon and Winter Soldier one. So,
because I remember telling him at the time, I was like, "You're gonna have a tough time with some of these characters."
Yeah.
Where else am I gonna wear a Captain Marvel T-shirt?
I should have done that for badass moments.
Yeah.
There you go. This is you're done. Points 1 and 2 right there.
I gotta look up the YouTube policy on action figure butts.
Well, there's that one
I stay for an hour 17.
The one random panel I posted a while ago from the Hickman Avengers run, where was it you that was Lenny Francis Yu, I think that was the artist on it, and the way he drew her ass. And there was the one scene where the character that's right beside her had the thought balloon. It's like, oh man, she almost hit me in the head with that ass. Would have taken my head clean off or something like that. Like, it was clear, like, all right, this is someone else filling in the dialogue after the fact, but still, that was pretty funny.
Very funny.
Yep, that is. All right, yeah, never get upset. I'll try to, Booge, but it's hard. It really is. And Dan's right. That's a lot of T-shirts.
You look like you're in a
My Bloody Valentine movie.
It's always been the red light here. It always changes on me.
He's in the red light district.
That's right.
Roxanne.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. Look how he changed that.
There we go. All right. So our next segment is Best Artist and Author. So Dan, why don't you go first and tell us who you like best?
I was gonna go with Kelly Sue DeConnick for writer because she wrote Captain Marvel for a long time and wrote a lot of good stories, but I had to give it to Claremont just for Avengers Annual 10 for what he did in that, where he had her just say like, hey, it wasn't okay what you all let happen, and the balls it takes to write something like that. Jim Shooter is one of the credited writers on Avengers 200. He was the one running Marvel at the time, and the balls it takes for a writer to write a whole story just trashing essentially what your boss had just done, that's pretty big. So I had to give it to him just for that issue. And then for artists, I had to go with Dave Cockrum. He drew the Miss Marvel series for a while, and that costume that he designed for, like I said, is my favorite. The one Gary's got the action figure for. that's far and away, I think, her best costume. It's so great, and to me, it's kind of disappointing that she doesn't wear it anymore.
Yeah,
that she's just, she's when she had that costume, she was her own character, especially when she was going by the name Warbird, which I thought was great. And now she's Captain Marvel. She took someone else's name. Her costume is just a variation on someone else's costume.
Yeah. Fun fact: I actually figured out my two favorite roles. I learned who Moon Knight was, and then my first introduction to Miss Marvel was from Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the video game.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
I had no idea who they were, and I was like, "This dude."
Your audio just dropped.
Your audio just dropped out. Okay. Well, Uncle Gary, why don't you tell us who you like best then for writer and author?
Well, you know what? Claremont was going to be my pick, and the reason Dan said was why, because he could have his own badass moment to, because of what he did, to repudiate, what Marvel had done on that book. But it's just, my God, almost every week, if it's a Marvel character, we can write Claremont. So yeah. I wanted to give a little bit of love to a female creator, and it was going to be the comic or I think I went with Kelly Thompson, who wrote a lot of the Miss Marvel stories.
Nice.
So I wanted to give her some love. And then my artist is one that draws that ass. That'd be Frank Cho.
Damn!
Frank Cho. Man, he draws a thick Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel.
Wheat cakes.
Oh, yeah, she's been eating them wheat cakes and goes right to them cakes, right to them cheeks. I mean, my goodness, that girl.
Thank you, baby.
The way he draws that hind knee end on her is, oh my goodness. But of course, that the Black Widow's got a butt like that too. Frank Cho loves women with curves. So
they say that they can't hear you scream in space, but you can definitely hear her clap in space.
Well, there you go. That'd be worth hearing. So there you go, Frank Cho.
I can just see the email in the morning from YouTube.
That's for you, Frank Cho. Thank you, buddy. All right,
Maryland's own Frank Cho.
Maryland's own Frank Cho.
That's right. That is right.
We claim him.
All right, Dave. Did you say who you liked, or
no? But I can.
Go ahead.
So artist, I went with Frank Cho.
See, you're as big a filthy pig as I am.
I am. I unfortunately am, but I won't put it out there to where it's like we're demonetized. No, but
I didn't say any bad words.
I know.
It's
all the action figure butts. I don't know how that works with the algorithm.
You can hear her clap in space.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, thank you for fixing that. But
she's the Cardi B of superheroes.
That's messed up. But for writer, I actually read this after doing the research for what we were doing today. There was a Kamala Khan story. It was a mini series, but Captain Marvel was shown obviously as her mentor throughout the whole thing, and she talks about what she went through and what trauma she had and what basically all of her flaws as a hero. And that person I chose as my writer because I think they portrayed her the best, and that was G. Willow Wilson.
She's an honorable mention for me. I was going to say that. Very good.
Well, and again, nice to give another female creator some love.
Absolutely. All right, so for me, my honorable mention was G. Willow Wilson. I liked her stuff as well, but I ultimately fell back to the original, Jerry Conway and John Buscema.
Good pick.
Yep, I like. Hey, you know what? You can't go wrong with Buscema and Conway.
Yeah,
legends.
That's true. That's true. But Frank Cho, I think he has to move up on the list.
If you haven't read that Mighty Avengers, man. I mean,
she's mighty, just letting it all hang out.
Yeah, there you go. Wasp is pretty well curved up too, man. And I will meet. If all goes well, I will meet Conway and Heroes in a couple months, and I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm really cool. Yeah, I gotta find out what he charges. Be like, can you get some books signed for me? Sure. What? Here, this stack.
Yeah. Take this from me, would you?
That's great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the goes ahead and we can wrap this one up, put it to bed, call it a night. Thank you very much, guys, for your stories and your covers and all the input there. It was good stuff. I hope everybody in the audience enjoyed this show, and hopefully you picked out something that you want to read or a book that you want to see by Frank Cho. I mean, something like that.
There you go.
We'll see. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate that. Remember, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Get us out there so we can start bringing content to more people. Like Jamie says, it's a quick click for you, but it means the world to us. So go ahead and do it. Once again, I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is Dan the Kelly Art. Also is Dan the Man Kelly. Over there is the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
There we are. And of course, J-Dub, our master builder right there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next week when our character we're going to cover is Dan. It's your character.
Oh. No, it's not mine. We're doing the guest star next week. It's Namor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That is right. I thought it was your character next week.
Because Jamie's going to be out celebrating his 34th birthday. So we got a bunch of guest stars.
Colossus Collector will be our special guest next week, and he got to pick, and he picked Namor. And listen to how that's pronounced. It's not Namor. Namor.
Namor.
Stupid.
No, that was dumb.
I can't pronounce it, so I'm gonna change it.
If you're gonna guess what a criticism I have for him is gonna be,
yep, it's gonna be one of those.
Yes,
definitely. All right, folks, take care. We'll see you again next week. Join us on Saturday for Comics Unleashed. And until next week,